The health ministry in Gaza says another baby has died today from severe malnutrition and a lack of baby formula. Palestinian health officials say airstrikes and gunshots have killed at least 25 people today, most of them as they sought food. 2 months on from the opening of controversial aid distribution sites in Gaza, Israel's military says lessons have been learned and thorough examinations conducted after crowds were harmed. A whistleblower who quit the US and Israel-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation told the BBC he'd never witnessed such indiscriminate brutality against civilians. Our international editor Jeremy Bowen spoke to him.
This is not a battlefield, though it might look like one. It's a food distribution point in Gaza. Bullets are kicking up the sand as men wait to get food. It's one of 4 sites run by the so-called Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a joint Israeli-US scheme they say replaces the UN and keeps food away from Hamas. This video is of the foundation's armed American security guards opening fire.
I think you hit one.
It was filmed by a US soldier who signed up for the operation in Gaza after he retired and left, he says, when he saw American colleagues and the IDF killing civilians. The soldier is Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar, a Special Forces veteran of the US Army's Green Berets. He's in Washington. I spoke to him from a spot just near the Gaza border.
I witnessed the Israeli Defense Forces shooting at the crowds of Palestinians. I witnessed the Israeli Defense Forces firing a main gun tank round from the Markava tank into a crowd of people, destroying a car of civilians that were simply driving away from the site. I witnessed mortar rounds being fired at the crowds of people to keep them controlled.
As a professional soldier with a very long career, what was your professional opinion of what was happening?
My professional opinion of how the sites were established was what I would describe as amateur. Inexperienced, untrained, no idea of how to conduct operations of this magnitude. That would be my most benign assessment. In my most frank assessment, I would say that they're criminal. In my entire career, have I never witnessed the level of brutality and use of indiscriminate and unnecessary force against a civilian population, an unarmed, starving population. I've never witnessed that in all of the places I've been deployed to war until I was in Gaza at the hands of the IDF and US contractors.
Based on the knowledge you have, do you think that you were a witness then to war crimes? I think you're saying that very emphatically.
Without question, I witnessed war crimes. I witnessed war crimes being by the Israeli Defense Forces, without a doubt, using artillery rounds, mortar rounds, firing tank rounds into unarmed civilians is a war crime.
People can resist hunger for a long time, but in the end their strength ebbs away and deaths can rise exponentially, and that is what seems to be happening now in Gaza. Israel insists its forces have not targeted civilians. Now we have eyewitness testimony to add to the considerable evidence that they've done so as a matter of routine. Jeremy Bowen, BBC News, Jerusalem.
Well, Israel has said it would now allow foreign powers to carry out aid drops into Gaza. A small team of British military planners are looking into helping Jordan with supplying aid to Gaza like this, although Israel hasn't yet given permission for the operation to start. But just in the past few minutes, we've had the news come through from one of the agencies, AFP, saying that Britain is taking forward Gaza food airdrop plan. That's according to the Prime Minister Keir Starmer's office. So that's just come through. But meanwhile, Médecins Sans Frontières project coordinator in Gaza City, Caroline Willman, told the BBC that restarting airdrops wasn't enough and posed its own risks.
Based on what we see, the very many malnourished patients that we have, there is for sure a desperate need for more aid to come in. Then if you think about the fact that there's 2 million people in the Gaza Strip right now desperate for food, it seems to me that airdrops might be something that helps, but it seems sufficient. On top of that, my concern would be as well, given the level of desperation that people have when you drop food from the sky like this, how will people get access to it? How would a single mother get access to that? Because obviously everybody's desperate. Everybody will go towards these places where food is dropped, and only the strongest, of which, let's be honest, everybody here is hungry. Everybody here should get access to aid, but the most vulnerable might not be able to access it because it will be a very chaotic scene.
Caroline Willman from Médecins Sans Frontières there. Well, let's speak to Hugo Bashega, who's in Jerusalem for us. Hugo, some concerns from MSF there, and also a question of how soon the aid might be able to reach the people of Gaza who so desperately need it.
Yeah, Lakshmi, we haven't had any kind of official announcement yet by the Israeli authorities, confirmation of when these aid drops might happen. But this Israeli announcement has been dismissed by the United Nations as a distraction. We've heard concerns there from Doctors Without Borders, aid organizations, saying that this way of delivering aid, of getting aid to people in Gaza is not only insufficient, but also very risky, because you could have chaos, you could have violence, and some incidents there in Gaza. And I think what we're hearing here is that the United Nations, aid organizations, and a number of countries are saying that this crisis in Gaza is the result of the restrictions on the entry and distribution of aid that have been imposed by the Israeli authorities. Now, Israel dismisses the allegations, despite the overwhelming evidence that its policies are behind what we're seeing right now in Gaza, that a very limited amount of aid is getting in, and what is there is not reaching everyone. And what aid agencies are saying is that the only way to ease the crisis in Gaza, a worsening humanitarian crisis there, is by allowing the unrestricted entry and distribution of aid in the territory. And this is likely to only happen when there is a ceasefire deal in place. We know that these latest negotiations efforts have failed to reach a deal, so I don't think there is any hope that any kind of deal is imminent. And in the meantime, this crisis in Gaza continues. The Hamas-run health ministry this morning said that a 6-month-old baby identified as Zainab Abu Khalib died because of severe malnutrition and also a lack of baby formula. It means that at least 10 people have died in Gaza in the last 2 days alone because of malnutrition.
Hugo Bashega in Jerusalem for us.